As usual, the blind of the world decided to stick it to Donald Trump with a public protest. Anti-Trumpers planned to gather outside the NATO summit in Brussels to show the U.S. president just what they thought about him. It didn't work out so well. The ongoing narrative from our mainstream media is that Donald Trump is a universally hated figure, from American citizens to members of foreign countries. They want you to believe that every decent human being is revolted by the Republican president. Only the far-right fringe of our society still supports him. He's a racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic hate-monger, according to the fake news outlets. Yep, that's the opposite of what he is. The man who is putting American citizens first. The president who has seen incredible gains in our economy in just a year. A president that has restored our strength and dignity around the world. Who is beating back the corrupt globalists that wanted to plunder our democracy. Even around the world, Donald Trump enjoys incredible popularity. In Asian countries, he's called Uncle Trump. Our Middle Eastern allies rally behind him. Numerous countries are respecting the United States once again, because of the bold, decisive leadership our president is showing. Not that the fake news is willing to acknowledge it. During his NATO trip, President Trump stood behind American workers by demanding our allies pay their fair share. He is putting us first. And how does our media react? With blatant and ugly lies. Here's how CNN saw President Trump's first day at the big NATO summit in Brussels, Belgium. Trump outrages on the world stage, again. In something called The Point, CNN said, Trump's comments at the NATO summit seemingly further alienated the United States from its allies, and this is only day one of his foreign trip. The piece also quoted former Secretary of State John Kerry saying, "The president set America back this morning. He is steadily destroying our reputation in the world." That's the take of the mainstream media in America. It's the exact same take the MSM had when George W. Bush was president. Bush, to them, was a bumbling fool stomping over the world stage with his cowboy diplomacy. But Barack Obama, he, the chosen one, would make the world love America again. Source: Daily Wire. Mark my words, one day every last slander will come back to bite these scumbags. How can an entire industry be so blatantly dishonest? They don't care about the successes Trump is winning for the country. They don't even care how much damage they can potentially cause to our country with such reckless slander. Thankfully, fewer and fewer people are even watching CNN these days. The media would have you believe that even in Europe they hate Trump. Sure, some jackass mayor in London has his Trump baby balloon, but the fact is, Europeans of all stripes have great respect and admiration for our American president. When it came time for the obligatory protest outside of the NATO summit, it wasn't as impressive as these crooks hoped. Make peace great again. Organizers were expecting few thousand protesters to gather outside the NATO summit in Brussels on Wednesday evening to protest President Trump's attendance, but only a couple dozen demonstrators showed up. Euronews' Damon Embling reported that organizers were expecting a few thousand people to attend the protest, but just a few dozen turned out. The protesters were rallying around the slogan "Make Peace Great Again," a play on Trump's 2016 campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again." Embling asked one of the organizers why only a couple dozen demonstrators showed up at the protest. "I think it's, what went wrong is not the good question to ask," the clearly frustrated organizer said. The organizer blamed Brussels being on lockdown for the low turnout before Embling ended the interview. Source: NT Network. Right, it was the lockdown that prevented people from showing up. There are roughly 2 million people living in Brussels. I'm sure if they really wanted to, they could have turned up for this protest. But, as in America, regular citizens aren't so full of hate to protest at the drop of a hat. In our country, most demonstrations have been orchestrated by activist groups funded by liberal donors, with paid protesters and rioters. That wasn't that case with this protest. When relying on real citizens fueled by outraged, only a few dozen were willing to show. While demonstrations are common in Europe, the fact remains there are not nearly as many anti-Trumpers as the left hopes. Around the world, people are optimistic about the impact President Trump will have. His leadership is inspiring other figures to take the stage in other countries. Citizens frustrated by their socialist governments are demanding change. All the phony protests in the world won't be able to stop what's coming.